Okay. So today is the burning bowl service, which is exciting because we get to play with fire. And it's exciting because we get to symbolically release whatever we don't want to take with us into the next year. Now we know, and in case you forgot, I'm going to remind you, we know that this is a symbol. And if you say, oh, I'm going to release such and such, and then you decide to pick it up again when you leave, the trick with any sort of releasing ritual is not that there's some sort of magic in the actual burning or whatever you choose to release, however you choose to do it. It's in that when that habit, misbelief, idea comes back, you say, oh, wait, we did that. We took care of it. It's gone. We released it. And so you are reprogramming yourself to say it's not enoughness. When that not enoughness comes up, you wait, I got rid of that. It's done. It's like remembering, when you go, did I pay that bill? Did I pay that bill? And once you pay it, then you're like, okay, when that idea comes up, it's gone, right? You don't think about it anymore until next month. So, but it's so much easier to just write the response or do the thing so when it keeps coming up, right? So this is what we do, why we do a releasing ritual, not because it magically erases it from our brains or from our hearts, but that it is that thing that we come back to remind us that we did that. It's done. We've made a decision. This is the decision. And that's that. So here's the thing. So we're going to write, we're not going to do it yet. I'm not going to talk a whole lot, I think. This little piece of paper, the little one, this is tracing paper, and it burns really fast and easy, which is why we have tracing paper. It's little. You notice how it's little? It's little because you don't need to write the whole stinking story about what you're going to get rid of. Bullet points, folks, bullet points. And there's two sides if you really feel like you have a lot that you need to get rid of. But let it be a strong intention and let it be simple. Because if you can't bullet point down whatever you're deciding you want to get rid of down to enough to fit on this piece of paper, it's a pretty big piece of paper actually, then maybe you need to think about it some more. Do not try to burn this piece of paper. I have seen it done, not here, because folks in Alaska apparently are smarter, but this is not the piece of paper. And so I gave it to you. I've been at churches where they have not handed out the big piece of paper until after the fire part was done, because people don't follow instructions very well. But you all are better than that, I know. And we're watching. And because so this will burn easily, this will not burn easily. So there you go. I'd like to not use the fire extinguisher. So thinking about what we might want to, you might already have some things in your mind. So I saw this article the other day about a study that said that if you're going to jump out of a plane, according to their study, you were just as good with an empty backpack as you were with a parachute. And now those of you who saw the study, you're like, oh yeah, and those rest of you are like, what? Any of you like, what? I would much rather have a parachute jumping out of a plane. The plane was on the ground. Now you're all okay with having just a backpack to jump out of the plane, right? Yeah. And the whole point of it was to point out that a study done wrong doesn't really help you much. It gives you bad information, right? And so I thought about that because when you think about fear, it's really, usually fear is just bad information. A badly set up study, because we like to say that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. And so I think that that's a great thing to get rid of, right? So if we think maybe something happened to us in our childhood or later on where we felt like we didn't get the attention we needed, or we felt like we didn't get good enough grades or whatever, and maybe we believed that we weren't enough, or we would believe we weren't smart enough, or we believed, or whatever it is that we believed. You know what's in your head. I don't need to tell you. Whatever it was, that's false evidence, right? And then every time there was a time where your grade wasn't as good as you thought it should be, or the teacher ignored you, or your family ignored you, whatever it was, it fed into that false belief of whatever it was that you had picked up, right? It was false evidence to continue to add evidence to your hypothesis, right? And so this is why we do things like say, oh, we recognize it, and then we say, oh, well, you need to get rid of it, right? That's why we have this ritual. So what if we looked at and said, well, you know, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true. What are the things that we're thinking, what false beliefs do we have? I like to call them misbeliefs with a space in there, or a dash. We have all sorts of misbeliefs. There's not enough. That's a misbelief. I mean, it may look like that if you look at the balance in your checking account. It may look like there's not enough. But in the universe, is there ever not enough? The answer is no. Good. There is enough. There's always enough. There's more than enough. It's an abundant universe. We may not have the faucet turned on as much as we'd prefer, but there is enough. So what if we let go of a belief of not enough? Whether it's not enough, like me not being enough, or a belief of not having enough, money, which is usually the usual way we kind of count those things in a lot of ways in our society. What if we said, I'm abundant? What if we let go of fear of not having enough money? What if we let go of fear of not having enough health? What if we let go of those things? So it's exciting to think about what we might do. And then, of course, there's the relationship portion of the letting go ceremony. Sometimes we find ourselves in unhealthy relationships. Now, this could look like a lot of things. It could be your neighbor, it could be a spouse, it could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be all sorts of things, right? It could be an unhealthy relationship with your cell phone. I mean, there's all sorts of, many of us might be slightly guilty at least of that. At least I probably am. So anyway, what are we willing or ready to, so we're not just going to say, oh, I'm going to let go of all my stuff, because that's kind of unreasonable, right? It's a good intention. So what are we really ready to turn the corner on today? What are we really ready to turn the corner on and say, it's time for a new life? Break these chains. That was another song we could have sung today. Didn't think about it till just now. It's a great song. Break these chains that bind me up. Darn it. Anyway, break these chains. It's great. We'll sing it when the music, this part of the music team is going away on a big adventure. We'll sing it when they're gone. Because it's one of the songs I play really well. Anyway, so What are we really ready to say? I'm ready to be done with that. You know what it is because it's been poking at you probably. Something been poking at you. Something out of alignment of who you are. Because when you walk the spiritual path, something will say, you'll be like, oh, that's the old me showing up in a way that I don't like. That's a good thing to get rid of. Because you realize that that's an old habit, an old belief, an old way of a relationship showing up. It doesn't mean you have to say, I'm never going to talk to or be interacting with whoever we might have an unhealthy way of being in relationship with. Maybe saying you're just blocking them off and cutting it off and saying, I'm letting go of doing that in an unhealthy way. I'm ready to do a new thing. I'm ready to make a new habit. I'm ready to stop thinking of myself in a way that I wouldn't want to think about anybody else in a way. Because usually we're the meanest to ourselves. So these are all things to think about. We're going to do some time in the silence. Or, I didn't tell Roger ahead of time, but maybe we'll turn on the tinkling music that we have for before service. You should just be able to push on pause and it should turn on. So we'll turn on the tinkling music. So we're only going to use the little piece of paper for the first part, right? The little paper. And you should all have pens, and there's hymnals scattered around, so you can use those as a hard thing to write on. And so I just will invite you to, you'll sit, you know what it is, go for it. You can take some time to think about that. I'm going to light the candles. There's still a few more instructions. Hold on. Okay. Whew, you guys are excited. It's like trying to keep up with my dog. He's very ready to go. Likes to take us for a drag instead of a walk. So then I'm going to light this candle. When you're ready, like really ready to say, I'm done with it, you come up here and you just touch a corner of it and drop it in the bowl, and it'll be great as long as you use the little paper. And then when you're done with that, then you have your big paper. And your big paper, different unity ministers do it differently. I call it your letter to your future self. Because what you're going to do is you're going to write your address on the envelope. You're going to seal it when you're done. And I'm going to stick it in my office. And someday, I'm going to randomly decide that it's time to send them. I'm going to throw stamps on them and mail them out. And I don't know when that's going to be because it'll just happen one day. Let's decide to mail them out. So it's a letter to your future self. And what you're going to write is whatever whatever truth you know right now. Whatever in that space of letting go and freedom of this moment, in the joy of the holiday season, whatever you're feeling deep within you, you write on your little letter. You can write it however you want. And you write that in there, and then when you get the letter, you'll be reminded of the things that you decided now. Now, you may be light years from now. Maybe you've become enlightened between now and then. Could happen. But it's also good to just remember, at the beginning of the year, I said I was going to do this. And it's a good little reminder. So it's usually sometime in the summer when I send these. So it's just a mid-year thing. So that's all the instructions. Make sense? Okay. So, ready for the music? Ooh. Sorry. God's calling. Good thing it's not Santa. So we just center into this time and asking those deep questions. Who am I called to be in the new year? And what do I need to let go of to be the best me that I can be? What am I really ready to let go of? How can I live my most authentic truth? Feel free to start writing your letters whenever you feel called, whatever you want to remember, whatever truth is calling to you at this moment. What is your truth, the truth of your being